So I've been a graphic designer for almost 6 years now. And I've designed everything from a menu to products to websites to even billboards and just like everything that you can think of in the last 6 years. And I feel like, especially in the last 2 to 3 years since ChatGPT came out, the design industry has shifted a little bit, and not in our favor. That's why I've decided that it's time for me to move on from graphic design and transition into UX UI. And I want to break down the top 3 reasons why I'm leaving graphic design. So if you're a designer right now, you might be feeling the same thing. Number 1 is I feel like we are slowly getting replaced as designers by templates. Canva is the biggest culprit of this. Canva made design very, very accessible to everybody. These tools like completely lowered the barrier of entry. You kind of don't need design training anymore. You don't need design education. You don't need to know typography or hierarchy or any real fundamentals that we've learned in the classroom or learned by yourself. All someone has to do is pick a template, change the text, change the color, and boom, you've created design. And that shift has completely changed how companies hire. Most businesses now think, why would I hire a designer who knows Photoshop, Illustrator, and all these other design tools when I could just hire an all-around marketing person who knows how to use Canva. And it's not that designers suddenly lost value, it's just that these tools made it look so easy. And when something looks easy, people assume anyone can do it. So now we just have a lot more competition since the barrier of entry has just became a lot easier. Fewer openings and way more companies trying to cut corners, and that's just made the field feel a little unstable. And then number 2 is graphic design pay just isn't keeping up. The second reason is something a lot of designers don't really like to talk about, but we all kind of feel it. Graphic design pay has basically flatlined. And at the same time, the expectations for the role has kind of kept growing. Companies don't want someone who just knows graphic design anymore. They want a motion designer, they want a web designer, they want a video editor, a social media designer, an animator, if you know SEO, if you know email campaigns. And there's just the expectations have gone higher, but the pay hasn't moved. And a big reason for that is design is kind of hard to measure. If you're a marketer and you manage marketing campaigns, you can just point to the metrics. You can say how many people opened your design, how many people clicked on it, how many conversions you got. If you're a salesperson, you can say how many deals you've closed. But for designers, the only metric is, does it look good? Does it look good? That's how they measure how successful your designs were. And it's such a subjective way of looking at things, and that's why it's not really a strong enough metric for companies to justify paying more. So the ceiling is low, the raises are slow, and the industry overall just doesn't value design the way that it used to. And if you do freelance too, I feel like a lot of people still undervalue design. I don't know if you've come across clients where you give them your rate and they're like, oh, I could just make that in Canva. Okay, then make it in Canva. I don't care. Make it in Canva. And the third reason is I feel like with the AI shift happening in the last few years, AI is already doing a lot of graphic design work. AI is already being integrated in Canva, it's in Photoshop, it's in Figma, it's in all of our design softwares. And it already generates logos, posters, ads, graphics, brand concepts. We're not really far away from a time where you could just type in a prompt, hey, can you make me a modern flyer with my company logo, with my company branding? and then like in a few seconds you just get that full fleshed out flyer, and nobody would even notice that it's made in AI. You know, AI is advancing so much that it's becoming harder and harder to tell. So what's next? And why did I choose UX UI? Well, first thing is UX UI's compensation is way better than any other design job out there. It's actually kind of unbelievable that a design job could even hit like a 6-figure salary. And the best part of it too is the metrics for UX UI is measurable. You know, you can measure how many more website visits you got when the UX UI got updated. You can measure how many conversions you got because the UX UI was converted. Like, just websites and products are a lot easier to quantify than creative designs. You can track conversions, usability, retention, engagement, and companies can actually see the impact of your work, which means they value it more. You know, I've already designed websites and landing pages, and I studied a little bit of UX in college, so I'm just now really officially trying to make the switch. And right now I'm in the middle of updating my portfolio and building out case studies and applying to junior UX UI roles. So I really want to just document this entire process. So if you're also in graphic design, or you're thinking about switching into UX and you're feeling the pressure of you know, the template designer, AI, and just like people not valuing your work, you're not the only one. So if you're thinking about transitioning, you know, hit subscribe, follow along, and yeah, we're gonna get this UX job together, and we're gonna get out of this industry together. That's all I can say. All right, till next time. Bye.